How's it going, everybody? Hanging out in the saw shop. What else is new? Weather's starting to change. I think we'll be cutting sooner than later. I got a couple of saws I want to put in the wood, and then I can mail away and get back to some outdoor type activities and outdoor videos. In the meantime, I'm all fired up today. I got Buckin's 922 here. I did the final case matching, prepping, polishing, sanding. I made this thing as good as I think it could be. As good as it can be with my hands and eyes. Everything matches real nice, if you know what I'm saying. So, I took this thing in the house just now. I used hot soapy water, Dawn dish soap or whatever you got. I gave the cases a good bath, got all the oil and grit and debris out. You want to get the fines out, friends. If you're porting for the first time, make sure you don't get anything into the bottom end. Put your saw at the other end of the shop, or put it in a plastic bag, and then when you're grinding the top end or whatever you're doing, those particles will get into the air, and you'd be surprised what you find chips on. So I rinsed this thing out good just to make sure there's nothing in it, and I'm happy and I'm ready to start assembling this thing. Now, if you guys missed the first couple videos on this, I decided to pull the bottom end out so that I could get this saw more to the state of tune that I wanted it. I don't want to just port this thing. I want to make this thing pretty nutso. And looking at these cases, I just wasn't happy with them. So now what I have to do is I'm going to take this crankshaft and I have to put this back in the case. I could heat these cases up nice and hot and put it through there, but this saw ran beautifully. This crank seal is nice and rubbery and pliable, and this seal here is stuck to the case. So I don't have a new seal. I think I have a crank seal in stock, but I'm trying not to disturb much on this saw. This has been sitting in the shop. It's nice and cool to the touch. Now, what we have to do, friends, is I got to pull this back through. I don't want to hammer this in. I'm scared of breaking this crankshaft in half. So, I'm going to rig something up to pull this back through with the clutch and some washers and some pipes that I cut up. I don't know if these are just thin wall pipes. So that's going to be my idea. I'm going to show you guys something I figured out just now, a way that you can get these Homelite clutches on and off a lot easier with something that you probably have laying around with no modifications. I'm going to bring you guys in close and let's see if we can pull this crankshaft through. I've never done this before, so it'll either go like this or I'm going to have to rig up something better to pull it with. Let's do it together and find out. Okay, here's another look at the cases. All smooth and shiny. Now, first thing I want to do, and I've already done this 2 or 3 times, I'm going to wipe out this crank seal just to make sure there's nothing in there. You have any fines in there or anything, and it'll rub a hole through, and then you'll have an air leak. So, these kind of builds are super labor intensive. So, if you're looking to port a Homelite like this, I don't mind putting this stuff on video. Some guys say, oh, why would you show that? That's a move. Yeah, I didn't invent any of this stuff, friends. If you read any of the Go Fast 2-stroke books or any of that, you've been around dirt bikes, snowmobiles, this is stuff that's been done for 40, 50 years. I just like to put it on video so that those of you that haven't been a motorhead your whole life can kind of understand what's involved in these builds. Anyways, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take a little tiny wee bit of oil. Okay, little Opti 2-stroke oil. I'm just gonna lube up that seal. Some would say you don't need to do that. I don't know if it's necessary, but it makes me feel good, so I'm gonna do it. Okay, so I have cleaned and inspected this and just made sure it's nice and shiny. Okay, there's no the journals on the crank look good. I see no reason why I can't use this. Okay, here's our crankshaft. She's all cleaned up. So basically what I have to do is I have to insert this through. Let's see if you guys can see that. Okay, and pull it in there straight. Okay, and see how it's not straight right now? I gotta get this thing to start. Okay, and then pull this bearing into the space. Now, I'm gonna try and get this on video. If I can't, then I'll just show you guys the before and after. Now, I'm having a hard time getting this to start straight. So, there we go. Okay, so what I've rigged up here, friends, is I have a big washer. I'm going to put this against the case. Okay, piece of pipe. Another washer. Again, I don't know. I don't know if there's a better way to do this, but we're going to find out what's what right now. Okay, so this washer's going to be too much. Let's see if I can get this going. Okay, I got it started. Now, all I'm doing right now, look at this. You know what this is? It's the tool for taking an angle grinder, taking the discs off an angle grinder, and look at that. It fits perfectly in a Homelite. In a Homelite clutch, okay? I'm just holding this with my hand and turning this ever so gently. And it's actually pulling itself in, okay? And it's not binding. It's a little fumbly doing this on camera, but... Okay, and just put your fingers in here. I'm just holding this. I'm just holding this with my finger and thumb here, and it's actually pulling it in very smoothly. I'm not really applying much force, so that tells me right there that this is probably going to work. Now that I say that, I'm having a hard time, but... Okay, and I'm just going to keep turning it until it's fully seated. Okay, just about done. Had to grab a couple more washers. I just stuck this wooden handled screwdriver in there just to kind of lock it up against here. And you guys can see this. And I'm just pulling her home. We are almost in, I reckon. Every once in a while, I'll back it off and just check my progress. Nice thing is, it is going in straight. See that? It's going in nice and straight. It is taking me quite a bit of pressure to get it to go in, but a little at a time, friends. I'll hit you guys back when I have it done. Okay, I think she's done. Let's give her one last little twist here. I'm making sure that the bearing is bottomed out in the bearing pocket. There's a shoulder on this one, so okay. Again, wooden handled screwdriver. Okay, so then all we want to do now is just relieve the tension. And we should be installed. Okay, grab this, same thing. I know it ain't fancy, but it works. And if it works and it doesn't hurt nothing, there we go. Feels fairly smooth. Now I will have to put those retaining screws back in with the washers. Okay, don't forget about that if you're building one of these. Right down in there and on this side. Okay. Now, this thing has a little drag on it, but don't forget there's a nice fitting crank still in there, so I think we're good to go. I don't know what I was thinking, friends. I put this nut on this end, thinking, oh, I'll just hold it with the nut If one's one thread and one's the other thread, um, when you're tightening one side, you're loosening the other. Okay, I got the bottom end, my tuning screwdriver, all them little bearings in a brand new tray with some grease. Okay, and then notice this saw has a fractured rod in it, meaning, look, it was one piece and then they fracture it. You see that? So it only goes one way and it only fits one way. So see how precisely that fits? Now this rod and cap are magnetized, so that may help. Let's see if we can get this on video. I want you guys to see this kind of stuff because this is what you go through when you're working on old saws. Now I cleaned my screwdriver. I'm going to take a little bit of grease here. Okay. The grease is to hold the bearings in. Okay, this thing will probably smoke pretty good when we first fire it up. Now I'll turn it sideways. I'm going to grease the whole thing, or most of it. And that way we can start packing bearings in here. Okay, I got you guys a little bit closer. I'm going to try and do this with the old sausage fingers. These things are super small. And you just start laying them in there. They will go in a little crooked, but as you get them going, they'll start to line up a little bit better. Okay, just keep dropping them in there. And take the grease off my screwdriver. I love working on this kind of stuff. Yeah, it takes way longer to work on these, but oh, it's kind of fun to see what you can do with something that nobody ports. These aren't not nobody. There are guys that port these, but this isn't a common saw. It's not a 372 or 461 or anything like that. It's a Homelite. Okay, let's see if we can. This is the same thing you have to do on a Mac. Oh, these are getting magnetized, or they already are magnetized, and they're sticking to my screwdriver. That's no good. Okay, and then you're just going to keep laying them on here until you get them all on. Now I can probably do half and half. I don't know if the cap will stay on here. Let's see if I can do half and half. Sometimes that's a better way to do it. A lot of times though, you get them in there and as you push them around, look, they stay. You hope they stay anyways. That's why I didn't put the other half in here, because if one falls out, I can easily get it if the bottom end's open, or more easily. Let's see if I can spin this around. I have done it like this before on a McCullough. Let's see. I don't really have a set of moves for these because although I'm known for porting Homelites, I've never ported this model, so I've wanted to. I've thought about it for a long time, but okay. I'm going to put a little more grease in here. I think I might be able to do all of these at once, which is what I'd prefer. That way there's none missing. Now, I took these out and bagged them. You guys saw in the last video, I bagged them one at a time, so I shouldn't have any missing. Okay, there you go. I'm going to drop one down on the far end here and see if I can push it around. Yep, and it went down there. Drop the next one. This is exciting because then after we can drop the top end on and start getting our timing numbers with no base gasket. See what the exhaust port's doing. No, and one, they're starting to fall out. I don't know if what you guys can see here, but there we go. Well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because it seems to be working. Okay, last one. Now I'm just trying to smush them down so they're sitting flat. They don't look too bad. Okay, good. You guys can see. So, okay, put a little drop of Loctite on here. 1, 2. Ooh, I dropped some in the bottom end. Gonna have to fix that. There we go. No harm. I dropped it onto the crank. Beauty. Okay, I'm lining up the fractured side. I'm going to put both bolts on the crank. Now hopefully I can do this without knocking that cap off. Okay, I'm going to hold it with my finger, the cap. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, this is quite fiddly stuff. My biggest issue right now is I keep pushing the bottom cap off. I'm sure there's a smarter way to do this, but... Okay. Now we'll know if those bearings are all in there. Okay, now let me get this up here. I'll undo this one a little bit. There we go. Well, hopefully all the bearings are going to stay put. There we go. I'm just going to keep cinching this down until it bottoms out. There we go. I think we got her, folks. Well, I guess if these are down all the way, yeah, we're good. We're bottomed out. Okay. Good stuff. That was kind of difficult, I'm not going to lie. Took me about a couple tries just to, figure out. Now I'm just gonna snug these down. I'm sure they don't have to be a million foot-pounds. They're just little tiny wee crank bolts. And I did Loctite them, so there you go. That's how you assemble a Homelite bottom end. Beauty. I'm excited. That didn't go too bad. I'm just going to blow the grease right out of these pins now. Okay, and then I'll take some, oh, good thing there's nothing good in there anymore. Then I'll take some brake clean and I'll just rinse it out. Okay, dump it into the garbage or on the floor. And grab my air gun again. There you go, no more grease inside the bottom end on this saw. Okay, now, these rods on these Homelites, you will get the littlest bit of up and down movement. That's just the way those types of rods are. They're not like a modern saw where you kind of start moving it and there's no movement. These old saws definitely have a little more play in the bearings. This one's just ever so subtle. And it has to be right in the middle when you're checking. So, anyhow, friends, I'm going to put the bearing carrier on. That's how you put back together a Homelite bottom end. It's pretty simple. It does take patience, though, laying those bearings in there. So, do it on a day when you're at peace with the chainsaw world and just kind of chill. Maybe grab a cup of coffee and take your time. That took me, from start to finish, took me probably about an hour and a half. So, definitely not the worst job, but definitely takes patience. Anyhow, I think I'm going to cut this video short here, and I'll get the rest of this put back together. In the next video, I'm going to put a timing wheel on it, and I want to recheck the squish with no base gasket, and pick my exhaust roof number, grind it, and then I can start putting this thing back together and see how it runs. Anyhow, friends, as always, thanks for watching. Take it easy. Later.